Robschild. Nothing I say is investment advice. Welcome to the Financial Market Crystal Ball Reading Show. I'm going to do something very different that I've never done before with this show, mostly because I find that the data that we have right now and what's going on in markets today, yesterday, the past 2 weeks really is not very important compared to what we're about to see tomorrow on Friday, as I've been talking about for a long time with the unemployment number. If that comes in extra high, it's clear that this is going to be rolling into something a little more chaotic. And then that's when we get the typical Fed chasing the economy while it's crashing, trying to cut rates. And like I've been saying, when they cut rates, the effect doesn't happen until much later. So it's like, yeah, so for today, we're going to go through what does Robschild do every day when he is trying to figure out what charts to share and what information that he finds. I just want to walk watchers through my process. Along with this, I would really appreciate any comments below of any charts, essential charts that you think that I'm missing from my daily view that maybe you think would be that's very relevant, that would change my perspective, or any ideas. If you can give me comments, that would be awesome. So this is how I start. I start with the Opera browser. I have a bookmark folder called Markets with several folders of information I think is important. What I do is I use the middle mouse button and I press on the folder and it opens all of the tabs at the same time. This is a very efficient way of going through a lot of information all at once. The VIX futures curve is typically not very interesting, although like I've mentioned in previous recent shows, the bump here in October is very interesting. It's been staying like that for a long time now. I don't know if it's a seasonality thing, like we just expect October to always be elevated. I don't think I've seen that before in previous years, but I could be wrong. So this chart is usually, when it's inverted, that's when it becomes interesting. But today, nothing to see here. Again, nothing to see anywhere really until tomorrow. And then the VIX. So what's going on in the VIX? We went down a little bit. Nothing interesting. And by the way, to close tabs very quickly, if you want to go through a bunch of charts yourself in a similar fashion, learn how to use Control W. It's your best friend. You hold the control and just hit W. Every time you hit W, it closes one of the tabs. You don't have to use your mouse and go over and try to find the little X. Very inefficient. I can get through 20 charts in like 5 minutes using these shortcut methods. So yeah, nothing to see here in the VIX. So Control W. Oops, and spacebar, if it asks you any questions to let it close. Sometimes I gotta adjust these charts a little bit before I see them. This is copper, nothing to see here. Maybe a Head and Shoulders, I don't know, don't really care at the moment. There's nothing super interesting here. If anything, I kind of expect it to go down, but I don't know what to do with copper. HYT, High Yield Corporate, I always definitely check this. Oh, I forgot to say, I go to Verified Investing as one of the links in there too. I click Trading the Close. I usually have his show actually playing on one of my monitors while I'm looking through charts on the other and listen to him. But I'm not even going to listen to him today because again, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in any of these charts. There's nothing to see here today, so I'm just gonna continue walking through my process. I don't necessarily go through a particular order, by the way, either. I just try to get a sense of everything. So we have a weekly chart of the S&P 500. Again, doesn't matter. SPX and Trading View. Closing flat, doesn't matter. We're all just waiting to see what happens here. And Control W, Fear and Greed Index, 45 dropped a little bit, Control W. And so what I do as well is if I see any charts that are interesting or notable or that I think are worth like sharing, I put them in another window and I put them all together for the show. And so that's how I do it. So another fear and greed index I bring up every once in a while when it gets interesting. This is a index that will change to cash based on certain fear and greed index indicators. DXY, always good to check what the dollar's doing. Nothing interesting going on there. XHB, this is housing right here. Nothing interesting really going on here. Close that. HYT, like I said, yeah, so just drifting sideways again. I'm surprised that this isn't showing at least a little bit of fear right now. Yeah, it's just not. So that was folder number 1. So then folder number 2, I press the middle button, Control W. Take a look at CNBC. Any interesting headlines? GameStop. Nope, nothing to see here. I'm not even gonna comment. It's not worth even thinking about. And then Fed funds futures rates. Oops. We have, what I do here is I like to look previous day probability, see if anything changed from previous day to the current day for the different meetings. This is for the July meeting. If there's any significant movement, I will sometimes like to share something I see in here. CME Fed Watch tool, it's another way to see the Fed funds futures. We see the probabilities, dating to April now. We see 1, 2, 3 cuts priced in basically. Again, this is a great website, the CME group. It's really fun website. If you can go through all of the tabs and look at the data, it's great. It's a great resource. But I mostly use it for Fed funds futures. And then Market Watch, this is where I get my information for the U.S. economic reports, and I'll scroll down to the day, today being Thursday, and I'll copy and paste this into my notepad document here, and then I'll just put the data in there as a part of my intro screen. And so this was a little bit interesting. The initial jobless claims was expected to go down a little bit, and actually it popped up. Again, this is like, unemployment could be a lot higher and worse than people are thinking at the moment. The rest of this not super interesting. Again, tomorrow, Friday, it's right here. It's waiting for us. Unemployment rate, last 3.9. Expected 3.9. What will May tell? Control W. All right. I like to look at the U.S. Treasury yield curve to see if the shape of this thing is changing dramatically anytime, to see if there's, I don't usually share this chart, but I like to keep a good eye on it. Just, one thing I sometimes will point out is how it's interesting how from 10-year to 20-year we finally have an uninverted curve here, and then it's inverted again from the 20 to the 30, so it's a little interesting. ARC, I always like to just see what this fund is doing. It's with high rates and most of these companies not making really money, it's not something to take super seriously, especially in a high rate environment. ARC is a great place to be in when the markets are clearly low, and they're not right now. And so that's why I haven't really shared ARC very much for a while, but I like to keep an eye on what speculators are doing. Bitcoin, nothing interesting. TNX, this is the 10-year treasury yield, went down a little bit more today. Again, it's all irrelevant really until tomorrow's unemployment report. I need to see that, and the follow through on Monday. It's not really till Monday till we start seeing maybe what's really going to be happening moving forward. And then, so we went through folder 1, folder 2, and then I have all of the main charts I like to look at in Yahoo links and also in TradingView links. I like the Yahoo because when you open these links, they give you, especially like in the morning, you get to see the after hours, you get to see, what's going on before the market opens. The numbers are clearer on top, and sometimes I'll open the Yahoo links for that reason, but typically I want to just use TradingView, and so I have all those same links of all the charts I'm most interested in myself here. And again, if I see something interesting on Gareth Soloway's show or Ira Epstein talking about, or I watch other YouTubers, I follow CNBC, I follow other things that come up, and I'll open other charts outside of this as they come up. But these are the main ones that I check every day. I'm going to open them all right now with my middle button. 3, 2, 1. Middle button. Are you sure you want to open 15 items? Yes, I do. Boom. All open. So Control W, Control W. Let's see what's going on here. In no particular order, MSOS, cannabis. This is a fun speculative market that I made really great profits on buying. I literally bought, by the way, down to the penny, the lowest. Somehow I was very lucky, and sold it somewhere on the way up. I bought somewhere in this range, sold it around here, bought again here, sold around here. Now I'm waiting for it to crash back down. It's a fun market to take advantage of speculators in. TLT, yeah, it's breaking out, maybe flagging a little bit, at least for the pattern. Close. Again, if anything the charts are interesting, I drag them into another window and we're like, oh, I should share this on my show. REMX, strategic metals. I like following this one simply because you scroll out on a longer term view. Right now, as you look at it now, I've shown this before in shows. If you go back to 2011, the value of this fund was at $330, and now it's still only $50. So apparently, this is one of these long suppressed markets that Graham talks about, and I think is set to explode higher. I have 5% in this, by the way, of my own portfolio. And then we have URA. This is uranium. I've been in and out of uranium. I'm mostly out of uranium personally right now. I still have 1% of my portfolio in URNJ, the miners, but I always like to see what's going on here. If for example, were to get clearly low, I might be jumping in again. KWeb, China, again, long suppressed market. You've probably heard me talk about this for a long time. These equities, as far as a valuation standpoint go, seem pretty clearly undervalued, so I like to always check to see what's going on there. SILJ, this is the silver junior miners. It's my favorite fund to get silver exposure. I should probably replace this with the actual silver chart because they don't always correlate exactly together, and if I'm going to be using chart patterns to make investment decisions, it's best to actually look at the silver, not the juniors, but I digress. EWZ. Oh, look at that. We had a pop today. I was worried we broke below this line. But anyway, another long suppressed market I think is highly undervalued. And then EWZS, I don't even know why I have this. I usually just close it right away. It's just the small caps. It adds leverage to some leverage to Brazilian equities. The third level of leverage is BRZU. It's actually leveraged of EWZ. It's a leveraged ETF. Oops. Okay, Control W. ARC F. Just another ARC fund in the financials. I just like I like this industry in general. I think that there's a lot of room for longer term growth. Everything's going to be on a cell phone eventually, and this fund I think will take advantage of that. And so I like including sports betting. Like everything is going to be on a phone. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to close that. Wood, one of my favorite leading indicators. When it's going down, it's like or going up strongly, other markets tend to follow it, and so I like to see what's going on here, see if anything's happened, anything, especially when it seems like we're curling over, or maybe we've hit a bottom and we're going up. I like to note what's going on there. BTI, one of my favorite stocks. It's a tobacco stock, sin stock. I think it's a little undervalued. Not a lot undervalued, but a little undervalued. SMH, semiconductors, just like to see how much more speculation is happening with, and I'll change these charts out sometimes too, and if I'm like, I'm no longer interested in this market, I'll add a new one, but anyway, yeah, SMH, BITQ, this is a ETF that follows Bitcoin industry. It's largely Bitcoin miners, I believe. It's my favorite way of getting Bitcoin exposure. If Bitcoin ever gets really, really low in price, this is an amazing vehicle for getting exposure to Bitcoin. And then Nissan stock, I talked about a number of shows back. We are at we're at historical lows here if you zoom further out, and I was considering doing a whole show on Nissan stock because it's a company that makes money, and they have their ups and their downs, but I don't think it's going anywhere. Go for a drive, you see Nissans everywhere. During the dot-com bust, Nissan actually increased in value, and I think part of that was, when everybody doesn't feel so rich anymore because the stock market's super high, what do people do if they need a new car? Buy a Nissan, right? This is no advertisements here, but that adds a little speculation possibility to this stock, but it's super, super cheap. It's out of the car makers, it has the lowest PE ratio. It's safe. It pays dividends. I mean, I like it, and I actually right now I bought more of it actually recently. I have 5% of my portfolio now in Nissan stock. My expectation is for it to go to $9. It's around $7 right now, and it's not like fancy. It's not like a fancy Tesla stock or a fancy, Nvidia or Apple or anything like that. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking. This is a Graham style investing. This is like, people think it's trash. They're selling it at trash prices. I'll buy it at a trash price and I'll sell it for a little bit higher of a still sort of trashy price. You can get huge advantages that way. There's a lot less risk involved with that type of investing, and it's how Graham and many investors that follow Graham's principles have made most of their profits in the past. So then Nissan stock, Control W, and then triple Qs, the NASDAQ, just to see what's going on here. Funny enough, this pattern I wrote, the reverse head and shoulders, we are still heading toward this near 470 target that I've been talking about previously. Control W, and that's it. That's pretty much how I piece together this show. If you have any suggestions of charts that you think that I should look at every day that would provide more valuable insights that I'm not even considering, any interesting ideas, I'd love to hear any of your thoughts of anybody that's watching out there. Watch out for that jobs report tomorrow. Could be something big, could be nothing as well. It's the big mystery that we're all waiting for. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Robschild.